All right, everyone, how you doing? Just want to let you know, thank you so much for joining today. And as mentioned through my post, I'm gonna provide you with information on how I increase business by $10,000 to $100,000 in additional revenue in under 45 minutes without costing a cent in marketing or advertising. Everything I'm going to show you today has been proven, has been tested, and is working for multiple small to medium-sized businesses that I work with. And it has not failed. I guarantee my results. And first and foremost, this is something I am doing. The pandemic has hurt a lot of small businesses. So right off the bat, please understand, I do not sell. I am providing this information to you because we as a team have to make small businesses grow. We have to reemerge from COVID stronger than ever. My marketing strategies will do this, and I guarantee the results. So with further ado, I want to start this webinar presentation. And once we're done, any questions you have, please, by all means, ask, and I will answer everything. So what I'm going to do is start off by sharing the screen, and everyone, if you could just confirm you could see the screen, I will start. All right, great. Well, first and foremost, like I mentioned, Ross Pantel Guaranteed Business Growth. I can uncover anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 of additional revenue in under 45 minutes without costing a cent in marketing or advertising. I have been featured and I'm an associate contributor to the Six Figure Coach magazine. Because of my strategies, I have uncovered anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 or more in additional revenue for every business tested so far. My background, business development and marketing strategist, over 30 years with small to medium or large size corporations in the public and private sectors. Specialist in startups, growth and restructuring scenarios, domestic and international expertise, supply chain specialist and certification in import-export, and a 2020 author. Now, the first thing I do ask any business owner when I start a conversation with them is, what would you say the biggest business challenge you are facing today in your professional or industry? In other words, what keeps you up at night that is bothering you about your business? This is crucial. Please advise what they are. Obviously, from past experience, I have an idea, but I want to get your take on it. Okay, obviously, more leads, more customers, money, staffing, gotcha. We'll take care of all that, and everything you're talking about is obviously weighted slightly because of the COVID. A lot of businesses are in desperate need for more clientele and more cash. Cash is king, okay? Just what I want to explain to you is this is what you should do right away is, how much cash do you have in the bank right now? Liquid cash that you can apply to your business. What are your monthly expenses? So basically, if you take the amount of money you have in your business, say it's $100,000, and your expenses are $20,000, that means you have 5 months worth of life expectancy left. So you should be able to understand what you have in front of you, how to utilize those dollars that will be best for your business, but also what can we do to increase that so you're not looking over your shoulder and saying, you know what, here's one more month that went and I don't have the money to go past 4 months. I will show you what to do. So basically, the key here is the 80-20 rule. I'm sure you're familiar with it, but From a business context, 20% of what a business owner does every day is generating 80% of their total revenue. So to make it simplistic, you're only doing a few things daily that makes most of your money. Now, I want you to understand, and please advise, do you agree with these statements? From talking with business owners, one of the key issues they have is they do not have time. They're pulled in so many different directions, they're wearing so many hats. But once I sit down with them and start breaking it down, the issue is they're spending 80% of the time on only 20% of the processes or responsibilities that provide 20% of your revenue. So you have it flip-flop. You should really concentrate on the 20% that brings in 80% of the revenue. After that, you do that every day, whatever time you have, then we could look at the other 80% or the 20% revenue and see which one or ones really are worthwhile to concentrate on. Okay? I've created the 5-step profit formula, and these 5 areas: more leads, more conversions, more transactions, higher prices, and more profits. These are the 5 areas that any small, medium-sized business owner should focus on every day. These are the 20% areas that will provide 80% of the revenue, and I'll show you how small incremental changes will produce huge, huge results. This is my profit growth calculator, and what I want to be able to do is show you how small incremental changes will produce big results. So what I want to do is get to a better, I'll blow this up. So I have a company that does 1,000 leads a year. Conversion rate is 25%. That means you have 250 customers. Those customers purchase 10 times a year at an average price point of $100, which means your revenue is $250,000. And at a profit margin of 25%, that means you're making $62,500 in profit. Everyone clear on that? Any questions? Pretty straightforward. So let's see what a mere 10% increase does in these 5 areas: leads, conversion rates, number of transactions, pricing, and profits. Your leads go from 1,000 to 1,100. Your customers go up to 302. Your price increases to 110. But look at your revenues. It jumps up to $365,420. Profit margin of 27.5%, and your profit goes up to $100,490. Now, I want to ask everyone, would you be happy with a 10% increase in your business year after year? And the response is absolutely yes, would take it every day. Well, what I want to explain to you is that from a business coaching point of view, business consulting point of view, business rehab specialist point of view, 10% is the average. That's what the people go out at. But because of my marketing techniques and because of what I have been able to achieve with every business I work with, I work in the 50% or higher area. Now, what I want to do is, before I go through this, please, I want to stress anything we do through this presentation, understand I use small incremental changes. All right. I want you to understand what my results have been able to obtain with previous and current clients. But in this experiment, I want you to see what a mere small incremental change will do to your business. So getting back to this slide, you take 1,000 leads for the year and it increases to 1,500. You have 562 customers. Your price goes up to $150. And I know a lot of people are already squirming, saying I can't raise my price, but part of my process and marketing strategies, price is not the issue. Okay, and I'll explain why in the future in a couple of minutes. But look at your total revenue. It jumps up to $1,265,600,000. compared to $250,000, and your profit, net profit, is now down to $474,609, your gross profit. Now, who wouldn't want that? And there's not one person who wouldn't want that. So now, what I want to do is I'm going to show you how these 5 areas through my marketing methods and step-by-step processes will show how I increase business by 50%, but I need your industry expertise on how this would impact your industry and your profession. So those 5 strategic areas are made up of 8 strategies: how to make advertising work for your small business, and how to build your business fast through joint ventures is more leads. How to downsell your way to wealth, and how to create a revenue drip campaign, that's more conversions. How to upsell and cross-sell and make big profits, and how to expand your products and increase customer revenue, that's more transactions. How to stop discounting madness by offering additional value through bundling is higher prices, and how to cut costs and unnecessary expenses is more profits. Everyone clear? Perfect. So here's the key to successful marketing. You must be able to enter the conversation taking place in the head of your prospects. Or in other words, a way to look at it and be able to address the number 1 question on your prospect's mind at just the right time. You see, the conversation that's taking place in every prospect's mind revolves around 2 major points. The first one is there's a problem they have and they don't want it. The second one is there's a result they want, but they don't have it. Now, I'm going to repeat these 2 because they're very important to understand. Your prospect has a problem and they do not want it. And there's a result they want, which they do not have. You solve these 2 major points, you'll have more business than you ever dreamed of. Please understand. Current small, medium-sized businesses have been trained wrong in marketing. It's no one's fault. It's the problem of the process due to TV, and I'll get to that in a minute right now. And it's called the conversion equation. Conversion equation has been around since the 1800s. It used to be called ADA. The problem is when TV was invented in the 1940s, businesses started to advertise on TV. And it got too expensive to run a 2-minute ad. So they had to reduce it to 30-second spots. So the only way to reduce their communication to the public was to change the content of your message or their message. And it went from informative to branding. Okay, so now all of a sudden, instead of supplying information to your client on the product or processes or services that you provide, you're now trying to brand your business and compete with your competition, which ultimately results in price war, meaning you have to reduce your price to be competitive and get your customers. And I'm going to tell you why that is absolutely wrong and you should never reduce your price. So the conversion equation is made up of 4 areas. These are crucial. One is the interrupt, one is the engage, educate, and offer. Now the interrupt, this is your headline. This addresses the problem your prospect has that they don't want. I'm going to repeat that. The interrupt is your headline and it addresses the problem your prospect has which they do not want. Your educate, or engage, I should say, your engage is your subheadline. This is the results your prospect wants, but they do not have. Again, the engage is the result your prospect wants, which they do not have. So vital. The first 2 things that come out of your mouth or advertise in social media, online, website, print, you name it. If they address these 2 points right off the bat, you've got your client, potential client's attention. Next is you have to educate. This is information you provide either verbally or in writing that presents evidence to your prospects that you and your product or services are superior in every way to your competition. Now, I want to repeat that. The information you are providing to your prospects, based upon the interrupt and the engage, has to be so bulletproof that it provides the information and the evidence that you and your company only are the one that are the right ones for your prospects to go to and purchase from. And then last and also most important is you have to offer something that's so compelling and so irresistible your prospect can't turn it down. So as you know, we are being saturated today by multiple touch points of different types of marketing. What does that mean? You could get an email, a robocall, you could get a regular call, you could get a text message, you could get go to a website, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, you name it. Just imagine how many points of touch points someone needs to communicate to you till you buy. And currently that is somewhere between 20 and 100 touch points before prospects makes their buying decision. So take a look and sit back right now and say to yourself, wow, I'm selling a widget. That means I have to have some sort of communication to my prospects, a minimum of 20 times to 100 times before they make their decision. This is crazy. Did not know that. And I'm expecting people to buy once I put a website up, go to social media, which I'll get to is wrong to start out. So this is crucial, but when you use the conversion equation, your touch points drop down to 5 to 12 points of contact. This is huge. You have to understand why this works, because you're addressing the two problems your prospect has, which they have a problem they do not want, and there's a result they want, which they do not have. Again, this is crucial. But what's also vital is they say the fortune is in the follow-up. Most businesses don't follow up with their prospects at all. And this provides a huge window of opportunity for any business to position themselves as a dominant force in the industry. You follow up, follow up, follow up, because if your competition doesn't, the prospect is there for the taking. Here's your typical buyer's journey. Starts off with a future buyer. Benefits of ownership. Why should I buy? Then you go to soon-to-be buyer. This is where the objections to ownership arise. And then you say, why shouldn't I buy? So the conflictions come around. Now, all of a sudden, you become a now buyer. You determine who's the vendor I should buy from. But please understand, now buyers are less than 1% out of 100. I want to repeat that. Now buyers are less than 1% out of 100. They're your impulse buyers. They're your infomercial buyers. Okay? So if you look at it, 99% plus buyers are not ready to buy. So why do you ask them to call you and contact you like Gary did for his financial advising business? You're asking someone to come on your website, put their information in, and call you for a consultation. But 99% of the people who come by are not ready to buy. Why is that? Gets back to the conversion equation. It gets back to what went on 200 years ago. Customers want information. If you go and you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, you want to buy furniture, what do? You go to the website, go to Google, Bing, whatever, and you start researching. You want information. What's the best product to buy? Where should I buy it from? How is that product different from the competition? You do your research. So why are you asking people to buy when they're not ready and all they want is information on your company and your product or service? Same thing for this chiropractor. Look at two websites, two chiropractor websites, two financial advisors, two roofers, two lawyers, two landscapers, two builders. They all resemble each other. People are copying each other, thinking that they are stealing clients away. Problem is, when you do that, you're competing on price and price alone. And what happens is you drop your price 10%, you have to do 50% more in sales to break even. This is ludicrous. Why do it? Why fight against the wrong battle? And most people are used to 40% discount. I've been in the retail business, in the apparel business. Look at what they do, drop 40%. That's why a lot of businesses are going out of business. They realize that they're going for the sale, the revenue, but the bottom line is the expenses are catching up. When you drop your business 40%, your expenses don't decrease. So it's taking money away from operational of your business. And then soon a business turns around and says, guess what? I'm not getting my receivables in on time. I'm short cash. What do I do? So let's take a look at one of my clients, Dr. John Smith. Here's his website. He specializes in emotionally disturbed children, behavioral problems, peer pressure, teenage pregnancy, bullying, self-esteem, substance abuse, depression, teenage rebellion. If I look at this picture, it does not resemble it. If I look at his headline, Parenting Advice and Resources from Dr. John Smith, does not resemble that. If I look at here, it says call now for free consultation. And if I look at his video, it says, I have hundreds of pages of articles for you to read. Well, a couple things. Number one, I'm not ready to call. All right, because I'm part of that 99%. Number two is I'm not going to read any articles. I don't have the time. So what I did was I went to Dr. John Smith and introduced him to a squeeze page. Not sure if you understand what that is, but a squeeze page is like a landing page. There are no sub buttons here to go to a different area on this landing page. What it is you could either click out of it or you could put your first name in and your email. That's it. But let's take a look at this squeeze page. Here's your interrupt. Are you sick and tired of the yelling, screaming, and belligerent attitude of your child? That's the problem the prospect has, which they do not want. Here's your engage. Now you can discover the secrets to controlling your child and instantly restore peace and quiet in your home. That's the result they want, which they don't have. You've automatically hit the nerve, the hot buttons of your prospect. You have their undivided attention. Finally, someone is addressing the problem I have. They've provided the result I want. Now I have to take it one step further. And by the way, if you look at the picture, that does resemble a parent and child going through these difficult times. If you look at Dr. John Smith's video, what does it say? As a parent, are you struggling to gain control of your child's attitude and emotions? Is your child yelling and screaming at you while often displaying a belligerent and sometimes threatening tone that no matter what you do or try, you just can't seem to get under control? My name is Dr. John Smith, and I help parents like you every day learn the techniques that will solve these frustrating and destructive behavioral patterns once and for all. And in fact, let me prove it to you. All he's asking you to do is go here, put your first name in, your email, and guess what? I give you these 60-second techniques. That's the offer he's providing you. He's providing you the information. He's educating you, okay? So from a parent who has an emotionally disturbed child and is going through this, I'd be more than happy to put my first name in an email to get these 60-second techniques to test out Dr. John Smith's word and see if they work. And if they do, guess what? Yeah, now I'll call him for a consultation. So this is why during the buyer's journey, you're providing information. There's less pressure because I don't want to speak to him. I want you to prove it to me. These work. So let's take a look at it. Dr. John Smith was generating 300 leads per month using his website. He had a 10% conversion rate, which means 30 people actually called him for a consultation. And out of the 30, he obtained a 10% conversion rate, which means he had 3 patients sign up, which is a 1% conversion rate, and that's typical. So now let's take a look at the squeeze page and how that did, and we're going to use the same 300 leads per month. Now what I want you to do is you see how the website worked, and you see the validity of the squeeze page and what it offers and how it targets the individual prospects. Okay? And note, when you do this, you're targeting the people that want your business. You're not getting the people who are just looking around. You're eliminating the minutia. You're dealing with the real validity of people who have a problem here. So put in the chat box, what do you think percent-wise increase using the squeeze page produced for Dr. John Smith by using the squeeze page compared to his web page? 50%, 70%, 40%, 30%, and everyone is absolutely correct. And like I said, I deal in small incremental changes, so let's only use 20%, which means that instead of 30 leads, I was able to now generate 60 leads. And let's use the same 10% conversion rate, which means that 6 people actually became new patients. So I'm going to use $800 as the cost of Dr. John Smith's service. I know in my area, New Jersey, and I'm sure in yours, it's probably 3 times that. But for this example, I'm using $800. We know we generated 3 additional clients using the squeeze page. That means that's $2,400 a month. Additional revenue is coming in just because of the squeeze page. But let's be clear. That's a yearly annual increase in revenue of $28,800. Now, I said in the beginning, I can uncover anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 in additional revenue in under 45 minutes without costing a cent in marketing or advertising. Here's process number 1. Just one process, close to $29,000, and we're just starting. What I want you to do is now for your business, for your industry, I want you to figure out what percent you think you'd be able to increase your revenues by using a squeeze page, and just jot it down. Okay? Now the next business, take a drink, is how to build your business fast using joint ventures. And I'm sure people know what joint ventures are, but let's go through it so everyone understands how it applies in the business sense. Joint ventures involve 2 or more businesses that decide to form a partnership to share markets or endorse a specific product or service to their customer base, usually under a revenue share agreement. The key to creating a successful joint ventures is to find partners who service the exact same type of clients that need or want what you sell. Okay? So the key to creating successful joint ventures is to find partners who service the exact same type of clients that need or want what you sell. Fair enough? Okay. So let me give you an example, and we'll use a florist. So let's take the wedding industry, and I created an event chain. And it all starts with a jeweler, wedding planner, church, chapel, synagogue, reception venue, wedding dress. Then I have the florist, as you can see, bolded in maroon. And then below the florist is the wedding cake shop, the printer, you have DJs, live bands, limo driver, vacation consultant. You can have promotional products company. List goes on and on and on and on, okay? So everyone above the florist is perfectly positioned to refer business to the florist. Do you agree? So every one of these businesses can make a referral to the florist, okay? Everyone below the florist is perfectly positioned to receive referrals from them. okay? Everyone below the florist is perfectly positioned to receive referrals from them. So in other words, this works two ways. The florist can provide referrals to every business below them, and she would get, or he would get, a 10% referral fee. Everyone above the florist can make a referral to the florist, and she would provide a 10% referral fee back to the business above them. Okay, very clear? So do you think that just one of these businesses can provide one referral every month to the florist? Absolutely. And do you think the florist can provide one referral to every one of the businesses below them? Absolutely. So let's take a look and say the average florist charges $3,000 for a wedding, and she receives one referral from one of these vendors or suppliers every month. One month it could be the jeweler, next month it could be a wedding planner, reception, regardless. That means that's $3,000 a month at $36,000 a year in additional revenue. Do you really understand the impact of this? Just one referral from one of those businesses above them every month, that's $36,000 in additional revenue. On the flip side, if a wedding cake costs $3,000 and the florist made a referral, she would get, or he would get, a 10% referral fee of $300 a month at $3,600 for the year in additional revenue. Same thing for the printer. If it's $1,000 for invitations and thank you cards, she would get, or he would get, $100 or $1,200 a year in referral fees. So if you total this whole thing together, that's $40,800 in additional revenue just by making one referral from the jeweler down to the florist, and the florist making one referral to each one of the businesses below them. And that is ultra conservative. That's $40,800. So in two processes, I've generated $69,600 in just two processes, and you could see how powerful these are. Could you imagine getting three referrals from the jeweler to the wedding dress? You're talking about, over $100,000 easy just with three referrals a month, not even taking into consideration how many you refer businesses to. So what do you think if the florist put a squeeze page together saying 5 things every bride should know to avoid disaster on their wedding day? It's a no-brainer. Every bride would probably be opting in for this information. So use this for your business. Take 10%, apply it to your revenue as an increase. And the last one I want to talk today about is a drip campaign. Is anyone familiar with a drip campaign? Well, basically, a drip campaign, 80% plus or minus of all sales occur between the 5th and the 12th point of contact between a business and the prospect. As we mentioned, touch points are anywhere from emails, phone calls, you name it, some sort of marketing to a customer that would reduce the amount of communication so they can make a decision. Drip campaign automatically delivers a form of communication to their customers or prospects on a predetermined and scheduled basis. So in other words, here's a sunroom guide, and just to give you an idea, it was a great guide, 20 pages. The problem was that when the owners of the Four Seasons sunroom would hand them out to a prospect, they take it home, put it on the table, and newspapers would get on top, put it in a magazine rack, and they forget about it. And it was, it didn't work for this scenario. But if you look in here, we have 7 benefits of owning a sunroom. So I took benefit 1 and I created a postcard. And the postcard, you could see here, our sunrooms stay so warm in the winter that you can enjoy yours in your underwear. Not that we actually recommend it. After all, it is a glass room. And Four Seasons gives you the perfect temperature 365 days a year. This is so powerful because in the Northeast, where I am, it could get very cold, winter, rain, horrible. You don't get to see the sun. And as a habit, when it is cold out and it's sunny, the first thing that we do is we go outside, bundled up, look up at the sun and close our eyes and feel the warmth on our face. This is what a sunroom can do from an emotional point of view, where you're, I shouldn't say trapped in your house, but because of weather, you don't want to go out at the house. So this does wonders. So if we take Dr. John Smith, we know we're getting $28,800 additional revenue due to the squeeze page. Let's take a look at these leads, 300 leads. You get 60 people opting in, which means you get 6 clients every month. There are 54 prospects. 60 minus 6 is 54 prospects that are qualified, but they did not engage in his services yet. Remember the buyer's journey. Not ready to buy now, will be a future buyer, soon to be buyer, then a now buyer. So what happens is those 54 go into a drip campaign, and all of a sudden they receive emails or some sort of marketing information, and they're between the 5th and 12th point of contact, and lo and behold, you get 2 new clients. So if you look over a course of a year, 3,600 prospects go in, 72 clients are through the squeeze page. You're generating 156 new clients from the drip campaign that you would have never converted without it. So let's take a look at that. If you take 156 clients times $800, that's $128,800. That is huge. Could you imagine that over the course of the year? And the one thing about this drip campaign, it's a funnel. Dr. John Smith was generating 30 new patients every month after month 12 or by month 12. The problem was he couldn't handle it logistically, so he had to turn the faucet off, and anything in the funnel would filter through. And once it's filtered through, no more new business will come through until you turn the faucet on again. That's what's great about this business, this process. If you do not have a drip campaign for your business, you're leaving a huge amount of money on the table. So this is vital. I want you to take 10% and apply it to your revenues and see what you would get. Now, one other thing I want to show you, which is unbelievable. I want you to take a look at your business like a boat. And your boat has holes in it and you're heading into a storm. What do you think's going to happen? Well, good chance it'll take on water and it'll sink. Well, I have this proprietary software. It has over 497 million algorithms, weighted algorithms. And what this does, it evaluates your business in the 5 different areas: more leads, conversions, transactions, higher prices, more profits. And it'll determine the areas where you're losing money. It'll also tell me and tell you how to plug up those holes in your boat or your business where you're not making money, you're losing money. How to implement it, what to implement it, when to implement it, which is crucial. All right, so if we take a look, and if you look over here, from market dominating position down to cutting costs, there are 12 areas we go into in the Profit Jumpstart, okay? If you look here, I picked 5 areas out of the 12. The current revenue of the business was $500,000 with a profit margin of 37.5. Implementing these 5 areas generated additional revenue of $241,000, which brought the new annual gross revenue to $741,000. If you look at the new annual profits, that's $154,615. Now that's gross, because implementing these areas occur some costs. So what we did was we factored in those costs. This total profit impact $117,115. That's a 312% increase in net profit, or repeat, that's net profit, 117,115. Now, what I want to do is, first and foremost, hopefully you're sitting down, buckle your seatbelts, and if you need, put a vomit bag to the side of you, because when you look at this 5-year impact, that's $585,600 you are leaving on the table in net profit over the next 5 years. And what's even worse is we have been using very ultra conservative numbers. If you remember during the presentation, I said I go up 10% instead of 10%. I did 10%. You said let's go 70, 60, 50, 40, 30. Keep it conservative. Well, when I go through this process here, and I want you to take a look, if you look at market dominating position, okay, it says 12%, 13%. Well, in here, when I go through this market dominating position and ask you a bunch of questions like I did this client, there are two different areas where we put percentages in there. First and foremost, the market dominating position, when you create this, it's created, that is in the information that you print. Any marketing, advertising, whether it's verbal or print, resembles your market dominating position. Your unique selling proposition on steroids times 10 times. What this does is once you have your market dominating position, you will never compete on price because you're standing out from the crowd. Okay, your competition is not doing this. So when you look here, there are two areas where we implement the percentage based upon A, implementing market dominating position. How will this increase your revenue? There's a percentage. We put 7% in there. There's also a percent that if you have staff, how would this increase the revenue of your business if your staff repeats the same verbiage and is trained on the same verbiage as your market dominating position, your unique selling proposition? Just like mine is, I can uncover anywhere from $10,000 to $100,000 in under 45 minutes without costing a cent in marketing or advertising. That is unique, to the point, and it means a lot. So you could see we use 13% there. So when you look at this, there's a lot of money being left on the table. And in reality, since we are at a low percent increase, please be aware and understand fully that because I was ultra conservative, don't be surprised if your 741 turns into $1 million in gross revenue, and your net profit ends up turning out to be close to $750,000 in net profits over 5 years. The impact of this is huge. What we also do is we put these in a priority, like cutting costs would be the first one, because wherever you could cut costs does not affect revenue, but increases your cash in your pocket, net profit, all right? And cutting costs does not automatically say cut employee staff, okay? So this is important. Also, it's important, a lot of businesses, business is getting tough, okay? And as I mentioned in the beginning, you have to look at what cash, because cash is king. How much cash do you have on hand divided by your expenses tells you the length of time you have to survive before you run out of capital, okay? But cash is king, so what's crucial is when business owners, small, medium-sized business owners, look at it, they say, the first thing I'm going to cut is my staff and my advisory staff. Now, number one is don't let go of your staff, because if those people go into the marketplace, they'll be eaten up by your competition. And when things get better, you got to start all over again, which is a big problem for you. The other part is cutting your advisory staff, your accountant, your lawyer, your business coach, consultant. That's wrong. And the reason is you've hired us to coach you, to educate you, to provide you information based upon non-emotional feelings. So when you make a response of reducing your costs and eliminating your advisory staff, it is an emotional response with which you hired us to help you not to do. Because when you make an emotional decision, most of the time it's wrong. That's why a lot of people will say, before you make a decision, sleep on it, let it sink in before you make that decision. So with that being said, let's add up the numbers, okay? We had a total of 28,000. If I look at it here, 28,800 in advertising. We had 40,800 in joint ventures. We didn't do a downsell, which a downsell is if you're selling a product or service and it's at a certain price point and your potential customers cannot or prospects can't afford it. Do you have something at a lower price point that you'll be able to capture that client and sale without them going to your competition? Drip campaign, $124,800. Upsell, cross-sell. An upsell is if you go to McDonald's and you say you want a hamburger, and what do? Would you like to supersize that? Cross-sell is you go to McDonald's and they say you order a hamburger, would you want a hot apple pie with that? Expanded offerings is offering products that personally or services you do not have, but you can get through either working with another company that will do it and you quote a full price, or a joint venture where you get a referral. Bundling is when you combine two things together, like if you're construction and you're remodeling a bathroom, you say, I could do 2 bathrooms and you get a discount or whatever. Internship, this is where if you are looking for staff, say you're in administration, you need an administrative associate to come in to do filing, make phone calls, go through the mail, do some, some basic stuff. Instead of paying $20,000, $30,000 for an employee, why don't you go to your local university, go to your local college, trade school, whatever, and look at people who are looking to get into the administration world and offer them the senior option. You deal with a senior and talk to the school. And a lot of them offer, a senior to go either every day or 3 times a week or whatever, as part of their curriculum to go work in the real world. And what better way to go work for someone that they're getting real life experience? The student loves it because they've been going to school for 16 plus years. Now they want to get into the real world. They get some real life experience. They understand what it's like. And what's great, the employer doesn't pay for it. They get to train the employee the way they want to, and they can give a stipend. So they pay for gas and lunch like that, which goes a long way. And what's even better, if the person turns out to be a great find, a great worker, after the year, you may say, hey, you know what? You're graduating. Why don't you come work for me? You're great. We want to continue with you. You can offer them that salary, $25,000, $30,000, whatever it is. Put them in a position. They already know your processes. It's a win-win situation. And note that $20,000, $30,000 that you would have paid for someone using an intern, that's back in your pocket as profit, because you're saving. It's a cost-cutting measure. So let's total up everything. And I came up with $194,400 in 3 areas. So what I want you to understand, this isn't a one-time increase in revenue. You will increase year after year as long as you diligently execute these strategies. And then we have other strategies. Like I mentioned, there were 12. Once you finish them, once we start, I could lay out a roadmap for the next 5 years, and we could go through a total of 40 areas. You want to set up a sales force, so your sales force is not doing what you want. We have different areas that we can create. We have the back end. We have the advertising area, the piece where you're dealing with the conversion equation, the interrupt, the engage, the educate, and the offer. We supply everything. Obviously, we provide it to you, you have to get it taken care of. So with just small increases, we were able to uncover 194,400, but let's go back and what happens if I was able, or this was able to increase your business by 50% increase? What happens if you were able to all of a sudden, instead of $195,000, you were able to get, close to 600,000, okay? Return. It's huge. So when you execute each of these 8 strategies, you've just created a system for your business that will generate consistent large number of leads, conversions, and sales on an ongoing basis. This systemization of your business creates a self-sustaining model that runs on its own without you having to be there yourself. And this is where you start to gain not only economic freedom, but freedom of time. So in other words, if someone builds a website, once they deliver it to a customer, they have to find a new client. But when you execute these 8 strategies, you will always have new orders in your pipeline because of advertising and the drip campaign, JV spending or sending you revenue, upsells, downsells, cross-sells taking place daily, additional affiliated products, services to offer your customers, higher pricing, and that your customers willingly pay higher for a higher value. So in other words, customers will pay a higher price if they're getting 4 times more minimum in value in return and lower costs. So let me ask you a question. As a business owner, what did you think of the content I shared with you today? Or in other words, as a business owner, would you ever try to apply any of these concepts to your business? Yes, fantastic, absolutely. Great. Listen, I want to thank you for attending today's focus group. And as a gift from me to you, don't wait. Book your free Profit Acceleration Business Checkup now. I will do a free business checkup for you. It could be a COVID checkup. It could just be a free business checkup for any business right now that books an appointment. Take a picture of this, go to my time trade, and you have, today's the 3rd, you have until the 6th. Go ahead and book your appointment. I cannot tell you what this will do to your business when you understand how much money you're leaving on the table, but how much money you can actually make and put in your pocket in the next 5 years, have the plan, the strategies, and the way to implement it and time frame to implement it, so you could be on your way to recouping monies lost due to COVID, but re-emerging with a market dominating position. So you are not competing with the competition on price, but you are the company to go to for your product or service. I want to thank you. Please do not wait. Go ahead and book, because I know times will get booked up. And what's crucial is this is 60 minutes of detailed information, what you will need to provide. Your 2019 or 2020 gross revenues for the year, whichever is larger. Your percent gross profit, your percent net profit. Those are the 3 important figures I need to plug into my profit acceleration, and we could start immediately. Don't wait. Please be safe. And thanks again for attending. All the best.